And given that vendors are picking up the newspaper like everyone else does, and we don't pick up newspapers anymore. We read about it online, but and they're obviously attending dinner parties, and they go to the footy and the barbecues, and everyone's talking about how hot the market is. So they know that property prices are pretty good. Do you think that's the reason why the number of properties that are getting put up for sale and auction I should say, sale by auction, is higher at the moment because they're saying, you know what, the market's pretty bloody healthy. I'm going to get a good price.
Yeah, more property goes to auction when market conditions are favourable for owners. No doubt
that's
about
right.
it.
That's right.
So, yes, auction volume is up, and that is 100%. Auction conversation, real estate is a hot topic on the dining room table of mums and dads sitting at home every single night of the week, or dinner parties, like you say at the footy. Everyone has an amazing fascination with real estate and what's happening. And, people are out there week in, week out inspecting property. Whether you're actually actively looking at buying or not, there's most likely a home for sale in your street. Maybe it's going to auction and that's being inspected by neighbours, and it's hot topic right now.
So I've often wondered what all these vendors are doing. So I'm a vendor and I sell something for $5 million, and by the way, $5 million doesn't have to be a fabulous house. It can be a reasonable house in probably a pretty good area with lots of amenities, etc. Let's say we're talking about Sydney. What are they buying? I mean, do you have this sense of this? Are they buying something else? Are they packing up and going overseas? What are they doing?
Some are downsizing. So some people are selling, the big home in the eastern suburbs and buying a smaller home in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. They might be selling for 10 million and buying something for 5. They might be selling something for 5 and buying something for 15 or 20. And don't underestimate the generational wealth that's being transferred right now. A lot of people
how do you mean?
Like people who are passing away, who are leaving money to their kids, people who are helping their kids get into the real estate market. There is a lot of that going on at the moment. I think there's a lot of generational wealth being transferred and will continue over the next 10 years.
Parents and grandparents passing away and they've accumulated something their whole life.
Yep.
Been living there for 30, 40 years.
Correct.
And the kids are now picking up the benefit of that.
Yep. These people were buying houses in, Bellevue Hill for $1 million or $1.5 million. And these houses are, might be selling for anywhere between 10 and 20 million now.
Yeah.
And in some cases, 40 and 50 and $60 million. So that wealth is being transferred into younger generations. And that's being then reinvested into property.
So do you ever sit down and try and make sense of where the buyers are coming from? So, I was just talking to Drew from Brisbane, who sort of operates in Ascot and under, which are pretty good areas in Brisbane, equivalent to, Bellevue Hill, etc.
Yep.
And he was talking about, property selling there for $8 and $9 million, which is like unheard of in previous periods. And I say, where are they coming from? He said, a lot of them come from Sydney and Melbourne. So I don't know where it starts and stops. I just can't get my head around where all the buyers are coming from. Sure, some people some entrepreneurs made some money. I get all that stuff. Maybe some people, not everyone's got family leaving lots of money, but some people, is getting left money from their generational wealth. Not many people can borrow more than $2 or $3 million. Like, as I know, because we're a lender. Where are these buyers coming from buying $5-6 million properties? And by the way, they're doing it with no fear.
No fear.
Absolutely no fear.
Yep.
They're bidding hard. You see them.
Yep. I think that there is a lot of wealth that, as I said, that's been transferred. Like the people that I see in the auction room that are buying $5 to $10 million houses, they're not old people. They're young, relatively young. They're successful in business. Maybe mum and dad have helped them get into a house previously and they're using the equity out of that property, and maybe they have no debt on their equity in that, or they have full equity in that home and they're transferring it into a bigger place. There are a lot of overseas buyers that are also snapping up real estate. I mean,
do you get much of that?
There is that happening. I mean, there's stories of people, Asian buyers coming in and buying property that there's a house on the property and buying it conditional to the vendor knocking the house down. So it's a vacant parcel of land.
Really?
And they knock the house down and they buy the property, and that's how they settle. So, and then they can just have it sitting there as a condition of buying.
Just having they can have
vacant parcel of land,
and there's no so extra impost by the government
That's
on them
right.
because
yeah,
we're not
they can
having
buy, and
rented.
they pay the money. Like the extra stamp duty and whatnot. There's no fear. I think from the real estate perspective, particularly in the eastern suburbs, and it is an intricate market. There are micro markets all around Sydney. But there are buyers that are buying real estate with the view to just taking long-term growth perspective. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever in terms of an investment strategy from a return point of view for residential real estate, like a 1% return or a 2% return versus buying a commercial asset for somewhere between a 5% or a 7 or 8% return, however wide you go outside of Sydney or into regional markets. But they're looking for the growth. And I think that whilst we all try and sit back and say, why is this happening? And look for reasons why it can't continue to happen, I'm probably more of the view and resigned to the fact that it will continue to happen. And this is the new norm for Sydney real estate.
Do you ever get worried, Damien, that you'll get shocked? In other words, there'll be some abrupt change. I mean, you couldn't get much more abrupt change in interest rates. I mean, we're not. It's not like interest rates are going to go up another 2 or 3%. They've already gone up a lot and fast, quickly, and we're either in the whole period or getting towards a down period. So it can't be interest rates that's going to cause this issue. It's not like there's going to be a whole lot of new supply of properties like in Paddington or. They're not going to create another Paddington. Like it's not going to magically expand, double the size or triple the size. And or like assuming you can actually get the buildings on there as well. I just sort of keep scratching my head. What could be the thing that's going to change or abruptly change this pattern? Have you thought this through?
Yeah, look, they're not making any more real estate. In the core suburbs of, say, Sydney, for example, beachside locations. There's only one Bondi Beach. There's only one Coogee, Maroubra, Bronte, Clovelly. These are premium areas. In the Double Bay precinct, they're not making any more land. What they will do is they'll start going up. There are a few things on the table at the moment about, increasing FSR, approving more developments within and around key transport hubs, train stations,
which the Means government's announced.
Right, and you look at anywhere within like an 800 metre, 400 metre radius of a transport hub or maybe even a major commercial hub. So if FSRs go up and they can, instead of building 3 levels, they can build 8 levels or 9 levels, that will improve density, which will obviously bring supply, but this is some time away. If you really look at
it's going to be units anyway.
Yeah, they're going to be units anyway, right? They're not building any more land.
No more houses.
Right. We live in a premium country. Most of us who are living, if you live in the eastern suburbs or the inner west or the lower North Shore, in and around the Sydney CBD, you're living in a really quality